Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a presentation of my project. The course is Quality and Supply Chain Design. The project is on the analysis of supplier selection in supply chain design. It will be extremely critical to choose a valuable supplier of the achievement of any organization. The principal purpose of selection the supplier may be minimized by risk, and between consumer and the seller creates proximate and long time lasting interaction. It consists of selection of supplier norms and techniques with analytical approaches. Manufacturing industries after globalization are getting vastly competitive, and other suppliers are looking for the opportunities to grab the contract. How it's going to work? Once it's open on the bid, which I'm going to explain it later, the contractor is going to grab the contract to have a good supplier. Therefore, the client does not allow any stoppage or inaccuracy of delivery and the quality of the manufacturing goods. A supply chain management is vital to complete with the competitor with and optimizing the method to augment speed and efficiency. It should be efficient. Any delay in the supply chain of the item could bring more huge misfortune of the particular organization. How? If I'm going to order something and it's going to be delayed, my lead time is not giving a push to my hand, so I have to work on the lead time, because if the lead time is not going higher and higher, the client must not be good for me. I'm not giving customer needs to the client because I'm not fulfilling the requirements of the customer. Possibility of, as far as money, time and quality of the particular organization to have an aggressive edge in the market, quick reaction along with the customer service is required. Proficient supply chain is one which provides good quality product on time at a competitive price. Organizations are utilizing advanced innovations with accomplish of the market. Time to time, every organization are competing with the technically high skills and execution, moving forward themselves to execute of the firm, also uphold the trust in the market. Let's move on the literature review and analysis of supplier selection. Let's wrap up with the literature review. This appropriate literatures tell about the assets that are specifically considered throughout the decision-making process leading to the supplier selection. How you are going to make a decision while selecting a good supplier. Supplier selection includes few unique arguments of criteria. You should keep in mind some criteria while doing a supplier selection. A blend of various choices, models, collective choice making, and different types of vulnerability. Many variables and factors affect how a firm goes about the supplier selection. Generally speaking, supplier selection may include a few distinctive arrangement of criteria, a mix of various choice motive, collective choice making, and different types of instability, numerous factors, and factor influence how a firm grows about the provided choice. So now move on to the criteria of selecting a supplier. How you are going to select a supplier. There should be a criteria of selecting a supplier. I'm going to tell you that while selecting a supplier or the vendor selection, vendor consider fundamental criteria in their mind when they are selecting a supplier for their product. The first of the most foremost thing is the quality. Quality, if the quality is good, the supplier should have maintained the quality of the product to give a good reputation to the clients for you. The delivery should be on time. There should be two ways of deliveries: on-time delivery and the tracking facility. I'm going to tell you more about this after. Performance record, the performance of the supplier should be good. You have to take the records from the past experiences, past records, which he has done for the other firms. Warranties and claims guidelines, how it's going to work. The supplier should give you the warranty of the product, because if I'm ordering a bulk of hoodies or caps or any raw material, that should be in warranty, because if I'm not receiving a good quality, where I'm going to go to complain and where I'm going to go to get the warranty and the claims. If he's not giving me a warranty, then it's no use of selecting that supplier. Fabrication facilities and the abilities, technical potential. The supplier should have a technical potentials, while they should have enough equipment for making that enough amount of products what you need. That should be, the machines should be in a proper way to operate. If one is down, then they should have a second one to compete with their orders. If they are giving you a delay, then you are in the misfortune phase. Economically standing, the supplier should be economically stands, have a status in the market. If they are not, no use. Routine fulfillment, they should have to fulfill the requirements, the routine, like the PO is going, I'm giving them a PO, purchase order daily, then they should have to tell me the order which I have ordering it 2-3 days before, while I have to manage my lead time as well. If they are not giving me a fulfill requirements of myself, then how I'm gonna give my customer the whatever the customer needs are. Status and spot in this industry, they should have a specific spot, they should have a status in the industry. If they are not, they should have to grow themselves. Aspiration for business repair service, like while they are doing checking the QA and QC, I have to do it as well. If once is gone under the eyes, so you should have to claim it back to repair the service. If it's, because when you are giving them back to repair the service, then they must be taking a time for that, and you should have enough time to manage your order. Mindset should be there in between the supplier and the purchaser. Packaging skills, this is the main thing. If the packaging is not good for the product, it's of no use, because while the quality of the product is really good, the fabrication is really good, everything is good, but the packaging is not good, it's not attractive towards the customer or client. Labor association records, geographically location, amount of past business, and the mutual arrangement which has to be done in between the supplier and the consumers. So how it's going to work with the supplier selection, then it should be a supplier, how it's going to process product, the services which has to be received by a customer, and what the customer needs from the supplier, that should be done like this. So what the customer need is going to the supplier, what supplier is delivering to the customer, the whole process is going on through is the processing, which we should have to control. If the needs are not being fulfilled by the supplier to the customer, then it's not gonna work more, the customer don't like it. Purchasing inside a company typically involves activity determining the needs, selecting the supplier invoice to correct the values, specifying terms and conditions, issuing the record orders and contracts, and ensuring proper delivery. The steps involving supplier selection is one of the most significant steps in selecting a supplier. Above results is the evidence that the main issue with the material purchasing is with the supplier selection. If your supplier selection industry is not good, if the supplier selection is not good throughout the industry, which depends on the careful examination of the supplier economics. Now let's move on to the process of the supplier selection. How the process is going to be while doing a supplier selection. It's a very important phase in the procurement. The whole process could go smoothly only if you have positive results for the suppliers and he can cope up with the changing requirements of the customers. There should be 5-point system for the supplier selection. Number one, supplier selection scorecard. What is the supplier selection scorecard? Firstly, the supplier selection scorecard is made which contains all the important elements required within the supplier. The scorecard of the supplier contains the supplier characteristics, the important strategic alignment factors you value, applicable business policies, any constraints management, directives, government regulations, contract already in place in between the supplier and the current relationship and the commitments which have been done in before or you are going to make it. Identifying suitable suppliers. Once the scorecard is ready, we open the bid where the different supplier can bid from the material supply as per required. I'm going to show you how, by the diagram, how it's going to work. Let's suppose so once the bid is open, the contractor is putting the bids. Let's take an example of analysis. Then the bids are going to open. It's actually the invitation to the bids. Then the bid evaluation. Bids has to be evaluated. How you are going to evaluate the finalist you should have to make the records of the evaluation of your by doing it with the scorecards. Select the highest ranking supplier, recognizing while you are not required to pick the top scorer. Moving too far down to the list is the red flag, indicating the process was flawed. Choose more than one for further qualifications, like you just have to pull it number wise. The bid has to be evaluated like this, and then you have to select your supplier by doing the current supplier, past suppliers, competitors, which is going to be, and after that the selection of the vendor selection. And after doing all these steps by selecting a selecting a vendor, then you have to make a contract in between the supplier and doing the negotiation in between them, and check the performance, create a contract. How you negotiate after you have narrowed the list to a number to the best option, possibly even one or more to start. You can select one or more than two to start a negotiation depending on the critical goods or services what they are giving you. We may negotiate with just the top suppliers on your scorecard. I already told you, you just have to make a scorecard, like the first supplier is this, second according to their needs, whatever they are given, according to their past records, according to their past business records. Suppliers has to be selected one by one. Then you just have to choose more than one or two. It depends on you. And after that, the negotiation has to be made on the scorecards depending on the critical goods and services. After that, you just have to check the performance of making a contract. Once the agreement has been reached, a contract is signed. Again, depending upon complexity, lawyers may be involved in that because you are making a legal contract in between them. And for simpler transaction, the purchase order is the contract and the performance is evaluated. Further performance of the supplier is evaluated as per the lot received. The positive or negative reviews are given for further suppliers. Okay, let's move on to the strategy what you should make while doing the supplier selection. That should be cost, quality, delivery, capacity, flexibility, lead time, and the certifications. That should be keep in your mind. If it's not there, you should have to face the problem after. I'm going to tell you delivery. Delivery should be in two: on-time delivery and the tracking facilities. You should know the pickup time of the supplier and the dropping of your product. If it's not, then it's going to be delay. And if it's going to be delay, the client is not happy with you. You are not making sale. You are not making money, and it's another way of supply. But the second is cost. The cost should be competitive price settlement. If it's not in the strategy of the selection supplier. Buyer supplier relationship, that should be adapted to company need change, cooperative and responsive. There should be a mutual understanding and arrangement in between them. And quality should not be neglected. If Q is not there, that should depend on the reliability, flexibility, and defect-free products. Yeah, the product should be reliable. If you're going to take any product from the market, what do you want? It should be reliable. If you are spending your money, it should be flexible and defect-free product. Yeah, although it's not going to be 100%, but it should be 99.99%. Yeah, we can neglect 0.001. So the certification should be there while selecting as a supplier. That should be QMS certified, and it should be EHS certified. So these are the process which I tried to sum up in a short span of time. I already told you about the analysis of supplier selection for the supply chain. In supply chain design, this has been made. My name is Temur, and my friend is going to further explain you the project from the evaluation of the supplier selection method. Thank you so much.
So hi guys, my friend told you about the selection strategies, criteria, and processes. So I'm gonna tell you about the supplier selection methods, because there are so many. Because we conducted web research about the supplier selection methods, and we found a lots of broader categories about the supplier selection. So the first one is the supplier selection is like, because the supplier selection method has a broad category. So the first one is the methods of pre-qualification suppliers. So in this is further divided into three categories. The first one is the categorical DEE and cluster. The first one is the categorical. So in the categorical, this is basically based on qualitative models. So this one is based on qualitative and also based on historical data and buyers' experience behind, like we have to find some supplier. So we have to just write down the points. Like we have to know about the supplier background, like the experience behind, like what they are they successful, they're gonna do our stuff, like these kind of things. We have to focus about that. And the advantage of this category is like this one is helps in the evaluation process. So this is the categorical method. So now we're gonna move from categorical to data involvement analysis, and this one is divided into two categories, like efficient or inefficient. Like we have to know which one is efficient and which one is not efficient, like inefficient. So these are the things, and this in this category we judge on two things, like output and the inputs. Like what the judgment category is based on output and inputs in this category. So because and also, like in this one, the relative efficiency is 100%, and a set of outputs is not produced by the other suppliers with a set of input and factors, is like that. So now we come to the cluster analysis, the third one in the methods of pre-qualification. So from its name, cluster like has to be like a form of group. So in this cluster analysis, we used to reduce a large set of suppliers into smaller and manageable sectors. Like, like we have to, this is the big set, so we have to divide into subsets. In that way, we can easily analyze the supplier. So which we have to take, which one we have to take. So these are the methods of pre-qualification. Now we have to move. Now we have to move the other category. That one is a MADA multi-attribute decision making technique. So this one is MADM. So in this is also divided into three more categories. The first one is AHP, the analytical hierarchy process. Like from its name, hierarchy like it has to be like in a shape of it has to be like in a shape of like tree analysis. If you know about it, okay, I'm gonna tell you. So this one is like we have to develop which one we have to prioritize, and we have to consider and the decision maker structure, we have to make a complex form in this AHP analysis. So it's like it's a set of integrated levels, and this one is also this method is also like is good for us for qualitative and quantitative criteria. So now I'm gonna move on to ANP, the further category of MADM. So this is the broad form of AHP. So this serves as a starting point from ANP, like a more generic form of AHP, and it's incorporating incorporating the feedback and interdependent relationship among decision attributes and alternatives. So the third in this category, the third one is MAUT, like multiple attribute utility theory. Like this one is based on linear weighting. So only this one is used like sometimes the company wants like the company couldn't find a good supplier in domestic, like in their locals. So they will move internationally. So they find some global suppliers from there. So this category comes in, this one is in multi-attribute utility theory. So it allowed experts to like prepare feasible tactics and able to conduct various inconsistent characteristics. So this is like for the like as I told you that this is for the international suppliers. So now the fourth one is outranking methods. So outranking methods are like it's like a functional choice to choose this to choose the multi-criteria issues. So this is competent of dealing with a situation in which imprecision is like imprecision should be present. So in that way we can compete. So the other one is mathematical programming models, like MP, the other category of supplier selection, like another method. So in this method is like this is considered to be only the qualitative method. Like previously I described you about the qualitative. First one was the qualitative. The second is like based on based on international suppliers, and the third one is only based on the quantitative. So this model allows the decision maker to like consider different constraints in selecting the best set of suppliers. So the most importantly, mathematical models are ideal for solving the supplier selection problems because this is the reason, because they can optimize using either single objective or multiple objective. So this is the mathematical. I'm going to tell you like this is the first. It has also the further categories. It's a big set of categories. So the first one is multi-objective models. So this type of model is used for the optimization and relating more than two corresponding sets. So and the other one is goal programming, because like the short of time, so we have to complete all the things. We have to finish the things in a certain time. So the other one is like goal programming method. So unlike most mathematical model, as I told you about the mathematical model, so this provides the decision maker with enough flexibility to set target levels on different different criteria. So and obtain the best, like this one is the best compromise solution, like to that comes as close as possible to each one of the defined targets. So the other one is these are the MP models. Okay, that's the mathematical model. So now we move to artificial methods, the other category of supplier selection method. So it's like artificial methods. From its name, it's come like it should be like computer involvement. So this one is like this is based on computer system and trained by the decision maker. So using historical data and experience of buyers. So this kind of classification is usually handled very well with the density and uncertainty and implicated in a supplier selection procedure. Like we have to consider density, uncertainty in this model. So some of the models of artificial intelligence are there. It's like case-based reasoning system for like another category I have to make. So it's like I will submit the report, so you will see by the report. So the case-based system is like this one is a technique which created for purchasing decision making. This is creating for the decision making and is like this one is a software driven database. So the decision maker take decision by the software, which gives you valuable information and experiences of the supplier. So like you have to make a records of all the suppliers. In this way you will find all the things. So and the other category in this model is artificial neural network. This one is like it saves your money and time and like nobody is going to consider this one, like, but it saves your time, but it contains some disadvantages too. Sorry. So another category is another approach is fuzzy logic approach. From like fuzzy is like faulty, like it's unclear things. So like you know that the human is like human is like human judgment, including preferences, is awfully unclear and cannot estimate. So it's like this is evaluation is by means of linguistic values, and linguistic values are actually like is like evaluating a ratings and weights of various factors, and it also expressed in like a triangular form or trapezoidal form. So this is that one is the artificial. That one is another category. So now we move to combine. The last one was the fuzzy Iki. This one is combine and or like we can say hybrid method. So it's basically like this one. For this one we found like we had some difficulty for this approach. Like we had for the finding of this approach, we found that this is a combination of all the logics. Like I described you about all the methods. So this is the combination of logic. Like so we found from the research, like some develop a model combining mathematical model and TCO. You combine mathematical model and TCO. Like I told you, TCO is total cost is another category. So the other one is like integration of AHP and linear programming. So linear programming, as we discussed in our class lectures. So to consider both tangible and intangible factors in choosing the best suppliers. So these are the methods behind that. My friend told you about the criteria strategies. So now I'm going to tell you, this is going to be the last topic of our project, is like how to select the high quality supplier. So like for high quality model is like it should be like it is a mathematical base method. So it could that like it used to select those optimized supplier, the like who comes in this model are like who contains quality management factor. It should be like in this category the restrictions are more up. So because we have to find some those suppliers which fulfill our quality management factors. So this is completely strategically method. So in this method, determination of suppliers is like who best meets our requirements, because we told you about the quality, cost, and time. We cannot compromise in this category, so we have to know that. So everybody should do should be fulfill our requirements in this category, like like as I told you, the price, like production cost, and blah. It's like, and the intention of this model is to maximize quality management factor and their evaluation while considering overall quality. So it's like this is a mathematical procedure. So we are giving all the things in our project report, the notation, models, the calculation behind this model. Like if you calculate all the things by this the calculation which we already given in our project report, so you can get a good high supplier, like high quality supplier, and which is very necessary for the businesses. So what we have conducted, like what are the lesson behind all our projects, like what we presented you about, what we told you about all the things, like we told you, like into that we gave you about this what is a requirement of supplier selection in any business, or any business, and for companies or for any organization, and what are the strategy, what are the process, what are the methods, and what was the high quality supplier selection model. So these are the things. So all in all, we are concluding at the end, like why does if we put, if like for the supplier selection we put effects on decision for supply chain process, and secondly is like different criteria and different decision model assist decision makers and customers in the supplier selection. And this research, like our research is also focused on supplier selection of high quality supplier selection strategy, and we also tend to analyze that it could be substantial, and that supplier determination is issues necessary, and further consideration in place on the range, for like will create those best criteria and schedules to the determination of best suppliers. And at the end, like HQL, like high quality supplier selection model, is good, used for the quality management factor, and it can assist you, it can assist the total quality and gives flexibility in finding the suppliers is competent to meet the requirements. So this is all from all our project. So this is all from both of us, like for about the how to analyze the supplier selection in all the criteria. So thank you very much.
So thank you so much, and this is the analysis of supplier selection of supply chain design, and hope we did well, and thank you so much. Goodbye.